We got the wholesome one on to talk of Miami football with a lot going on the college football season this month, maybe more so than any month for the entire calendar year, with the early signing period now in play as of 2017. And a wholesome one in regards to Miami on the surface with all that talent in the background, in the backyard, I should say, right there in South Florida, I would think that it's a bit disappointing on the surface that this class going into the final 6 days before the early signing period is ranked number 5 in the ACC, number 32 in the nation, and had a couple recent decommits of Sam Brooks, a linebacker, 3 stars decommitted, as well as a 3-star cornerback, Jarvis Brownlee. And I think a lot of that had to do with the departure of Manny Diaz being announced and being in the news for the past 2 days. Your thoughts about the Miami recruiting situation?
Of course. And we talk ad nauseum about how the youth should be this, youth should be that, because all these players that are in our backyard. But I have grown and matured and understood that, A, we're not going to get everybody. B, some of even the best players are going to still walk out of that area. C, I've seen a lot of guys who the University of Miami was the first to offer as a big-time powerhouse school to offer. When teams like Buffalo and Army and FIU will offer, the University of Miami will be that one to come in and offer them. The kid automatically commits, but this is like their sophomore year. Everybody else finds out about them during their senior season, and they up and leave us. And it's happened numerous amounts of times to the point where I don't even get excited until pen is to paper with a lot of these kids, because I've seen numerous kids throw up the U and, oh, I'm definitely going, and they get in these interviews and do all of the big talking, and then look, we're about 6 days away, if my math is correct, from the early signing period. Yes. And we just had 2 guys who has been committed to University of Miami for over a year and a half, especially a guy like Sam Brooks. Shout out to Miami Northwestern for winning that state championship. Thank you all. Appreciate that. My parents and grandparents are alumni of Miami Northwestern. So
nice.
It's a big, it's a huge, as you know, a huge powerhouse with Amari Cooper and Teddy Bridgewater and Sean Spence and Marcus Force, and numerous amounts of guys have gone through there. But he wears number 1 there. He's an edge rusher there. And at the beginning of his junior season, he tore his ACL. And a lot of teams pulled out on him. But Mark Richt said publicly, we're not giving up on this guy. Manny Diaz went to see him after the surgery when only family was allowed in the room. Manny Diaz went to go see him. And Manny Diaz was his main recruiter. So him decommitting is more about the fact of us losing Manny Diaz as opposed to him no longer wanting to be a Miami Hurricane. So that I understand, because he's just waiting for stability. But a guy like Jarvis Brownlee, who has been committed to us since his sophomore year, he's starting to get the Florida State offers, the UCF. I mean, my former head coach is the defensive backs coach. My former head coach in high school, Coach Corey Bell, is the defensive backs coach at UCF. And he told me personally that's the guy that they're going all in for as a guy to build a defense around, because he's one of those energetic, high motor, high volume leader type of players. So I could see why he decommitted also, because he just came off of that official visit. And he's also this weekend going to Tallahassee for their official visit, for their big visitor weekend. And he was supposed to be an early signee. So what's going on with recruiting right now? I'm not necessarily worried about it, Mark, in all honesty, because after being a part of media for the last year or so, you see that you're going to get the guys you get, and the people that commit, they really want to be a part of your program. And if they don't, then, congratulations to whatever you do in your future. But guys who want to be Miami Hurricanes, they'll be Miami Hurricanes, and come every August, we're going to strap up and play football regardless. So, you lose some guys, you gain some guys around down the road, but coaching is more important than any star system. So if we bring in the right coaches, the right men leading our program, then we'll be just fine when it comes to, being able to coach these kids and put them in the right position. So, yeah, it's not looking too good right now. It looks bleak. There's a little bit more decommits to come down the road from what I know. But a lot of those guys are still open to signing in February and just wanting to be recruited a little more by the new coaches that'll be defensive coordinator and linebackers coach and such at the University of Miami. So I see something good in the horizon, but it's just not going on right now for us.
So Wholesome One, I hear what you're saying, and I always respect your take. But there has to be a level of concern when the class is 32nd. That doesn't mean it's going to end up 32nd, number one, because we still have 6 days until signing day. And then we also have a couple months until the final signing day, which is probably going to be, depending on the team, but overall, probably going to yield about 20 to 25% of the class. So it's still a key component to the recruiting class that next signing day, what used to be the traditional signing day. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, the coaching and the development, the scheme fit for these players has a ton to do with the success, the ultimate success. We can go to the team that you're going to play in a few weeks, Wisconsin. We can go to Michigan State out of the Big Ten. They're probably the two best examples over the last 10 to 15 years, and you can throw Kansas State in, although they've not been as successful recently, as being teams that you're not going to find in the top 20 or top 25 in recruiting rankings. Typically, you're going to find them around 40, 45, 35, and they continually churn out most seasons, not this particular year, Wisconsin, Michigan State at 7-5, but typically they've been in the top 10 and 15 in the nation most seasons, taking the players that they like. They don't care what the rankings are, what the stars say, but the players that they like, that fit their program, their scheme, their type of players, that they see something in that they can fit and really hold value for their approach to football and make it work. Miami, however, seems to be more of the Florida State, Ohio State mold, Clemson, Alabama, where we're going to overwhelm you with sheer talent. The fit has to be there, of course. So you're not always going for the stars, but I'm just trying to balance out the equation here that certainly everything you say makes total sense, but there has to be a talent yield that needs to be considerable for Miami to reach the heights and to get back to where they want to be.
Correct. And I 100% agree with what you're saying. Another reason why I feel the way that I feel, Mark, is because this team has a lot of guys. Yes, we have a nice size senior class leaving, but behind that senior class, we have a lot of guys at key positions, especially on the defensive side of the ball, who had a lot of experience playing this year, and they're younger guys. So, for example, Brownlee is a 3-star recruit. Now, he's a 3-star recruit from Miami-Dade County, so he's usually a 4-star recruit someplace else if we were to think bigger picture. But we already have Al Blaze Jr., who got in sparingly this past year, not too much, but we have a guy like Al Blaze Jr. We have, Trajan Bandy, Gilbert Frierson, and we also have Devontae Dean is gone, and Nigel Bethel from Miami Northwestern before. So we have a lot of guys who played a lot of special teams, and he would have been able to come in and contribute too. Speaking about Brownlee, but a guy like Sam Brooks, he would have to fight pretty hard to get into this rotation at defensive end. With guys who are just Jonathan Garvin is one guy that we definitely talked about before the season.
Yep.
And Joe Jackson is departing. Scott Patson will still be here, and Greg Rozier is a guy that we have bringing in, who broke his ankle actually going into the season. But then we had the defensive end from St. Thomas Aquinas. His name is escaping me right now. Jason Munoz from St. Thomas Aquinas, 6'4", 250 defensive end guy. So we already had a defensive end in this class. So, like I said, I'm nervous, and you're 100% right. We should, as Miami, we shouldn't be tooting the horn or bringing in 2- and 3-star guys and saying we're going to coach them up and they fit our system better than everybody else, because we have 4- and 5-star guys just walking around almost at every corner down there in Miami.
It's amazing, yeah.
So we should be able to pick at least 3 or 4 of these guys every year with no problem. But being a Miami guy myself, I understand it isn't built like it used to be. You know, guys grow up throwing up to you. They grow up wearing the orange and green. But then when it came time to actually sign, they went elsewhere because the U wasn't winning at that point. But you see how fast we went from, you know, hovering around 8, 9 wins to a Big Ten win season, and then drop right back down to 7 and 5, maybe 8, depending on how we do against Wisconsin. So I think being able to stabilize it will help a lot when it comes to getting these big name guys to either enter the class or come back into the class. So, you know, like I said, you have a great point with what you're saying, but I think as long as we get a aggressive defensive coordinator, we have a lot of talent on this team, and we should be all right when it comes to defensive side of the ball. It won't be the same. Of course, the turnover chain will be gone, and all of the energy that brought to the program will be gone. And if we do try to keep it, it won't be the same at all. But I think we'll be just fine.